All right, so we are in the Dallas Museum of Art, and we're an expedition about Mexico and Guatemala. And the piece I have chosen to give an interpretation of is this stoned. So the first step is just to see what is in the stone. What do we see? So we're moving closer. We can obviously see the image of a person, a couple cracks in the stone, a missing piece, perhaps a missing piece. We see the feet of the person, and to the right side, we see a couple of images. These images seem to be pretty detailed as we move in closer. Now, as we go up, we see the hand of the person. Seems like she's holding some type of torch. And moving up, we see more side images. There's a headwear on the person. We also see the face of the person, perhaps what the people of this culture looked back then. We see the wardrobe of the person. She's wearing something on top, seems. On the bottom, it seems like she's wearing a type of skirt. And if we move in here, we can see that this stone is actually painted. Maybe with age, the stone acquired new colors, or perhaps the artist himself painted it on purpose. So now, what is this about? Well, from what we saw here, Mexico and Guatemala, this might be from Mexico or Guatemalan culture, perhaps the pre-Columbian era culture, when we had the Asian civilizations such as the Incas, Aztecs, Mayans, and so on. It probably represents the culture that they had back then. And to tie these two questions about how do I know this, I've been exposed to Incan culture before, and they've had similar stones like this in which they have images of people and figures to the side to just represent their culture and what it was like to live back then. So now, step 2, we get to read the title of this piece of artwork. And what we see here is wall panel depicting Lady Bolon Khan in ritual dress. Mexico, Southern Maya lowlands, state of Tabasco, Panama, Maya culture, late classic period, AD 790, limestone, stucco, and paint. So the next question, what might this piece of art had meant to someone back then? Well, perhaps it was something to praise at, something to look at, maybe some type of God image that they had for their culture. If we get a good image of the size, we can tell it's pretty big. Perhaps they use it during their rituals. I want to say this is so because back then, during the pre-Columbian era and when we had the civilizations, people used to have stones just like this that they would praise before their rituals, or almost as if it was like God to them. So now, what emotions, thoughts, or ideas does this artwork convey? Well, to me, it shows culture. It represents, by seeing this face right here, what the people might have looked like back then. We see what type of clothing they wore. The artist has shown this by having very, very detailed images in here. As we can tell what she's wearing. Perhaps those are earrings right there. The torch itself. The images on the side. We can tell it's very detailed. The painting also helps. So now to step 3, we get to read some of the description that the museum itself has about this stone. Some information here. And to summarize what the museum had to say about it, was that this was actually used as a door to a temple. So I feel like my judgment about this, whether this is good art or not, I feel like it's good art because nowadays we don't see this type of art. We don't see someone using a limestone as a canvas to show their culture. To think about how they did such artwork back then when they didn't have the tools that we have now, and yet it's so detailed. So interpreting this piece of work has given me new knowledge, has given me a background of what the culture was back then, what the art was like back then without having the technology that we have now. So my interpretation was somewhat close to what the museum had to say about it. Again, this was used as a door to a temple to bring holiest to the temple itself. And the picture of the image, or the lady in the image, her name is Lady Bolon Khan. And having her in the door makes her the owner of the temple. So somewhere along the lines of what I was going by. So the comparison between my interpretation and what the museum had to say about it, yeah, obviously they were different, but I was somewhere along those lines. Gave me a good view of what the culture was back then. And now finally just a quick scan of the stone again. We see more of that red color by the torch. We see the image of Lady Bolon Khan. That's her face. What she's wearing above her head and around her torso. Again, a missing piece. The skirt she's wearing. The images to the side that seem to be very detailed, and they're painted as well. And that is all.